Well, it was one of Donald Trump's campaign promises to open the files related to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The president is 6 months into his tenure, but those files remain closed. And Trump's connections to Epstein have been the subject of numerous media reports. Could the Epstein controversy be one of the rare issues that has driven a wedge between Trump and his supporters? DW's Washington bureau chief Ines Pohl spoke to some of them in Ohio.
And they are off and away. Who's going to be? And number one is still in the stargate.
Pig races, chicks, baby goats, and a lot of Trump supporters. The Ohio State Fair is a big deal in the state, which is predominantly Republican. 55% voted for Donald Trump during the last presidential election. We are here to find out how his base is feeling about his promise to release the Epstein files.
I'm still excited for him. We're still supporting him. I know there's a lot of politics goes on in Washington, many things behind the scenes that we don't know about or we don't need to know about.
Do people talk about the Epstein files?
They don't talk about it. No, they don't talk about it because I've been hearing it for, 4 or 5 years now, and it's going to be released and on and on and on. And
these Ohioans didn't vote for Donald Trump, but agree that nothing sticks to the president.
I don't think anything ever hurts Donald Trump, to be honest. The faction does not care
they don't.
about anything negative.
No fair without tons of food.
It's basically like brisket, tomatoes, jalapeno. I'm honestly not entirely sure. You know, I couldn't really say what goes on in the, inner machinations of a man that, with that much influence. I mean, that goes with anybody up in Washington. There's a lot of things that a lot of people down here, kind of in the working masses like me, and I mean, like a lot of people here that don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes there. And
did you vote for him?
I didn't vote. I wasn't registered in time to vote, so sadly I didn't.
Would you have voted for him?
I believe I would have.
It's the family day, and the pig races are one of the big attractions. Baby goats are a big crowd pleaser.
So there's a lot of things I thought would hurt him that no one seems to care about, so hard to say.
We're only told what they want us to know, so it's kind of where I stand on it.
Did you vote for him?
I did, of course.
This shop owner makes no secret of his political stance.
The liberals are trying to use it against Trump, but yet then you have the whole issue, well, why didn't they release it? They've had it for years and years and years. So it's just a media game. It's all a big joke. I wish they would shut up and let him do his job. The reason I like Donald Trump is because they hate him.
Recent polling suggests more than a third Republicans disapprove of Donald Trump's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. But here, at the Ohio State Fair, his supporters seem to be happy with their president.
Let's bring in our Washington bureau chief, Ines Pohl, who filed that report. Ines, tell us, first of all, why the Epstein files have become such a big deal for this Trump administration.
Well, to open up the Epstein files was one of the major promises of Donald Trump during his presidential campaign. And other than, for example, his promise to stop illegal immigration, this is actually pretty easy to see if he followed up or not. And he did not. The files are still not open to the public.
Now, we did hear from some Trump supporters in your report, and they didn't really seem to care all that much about the Epstein files.
Yeah, and that is really an important observation, I guess. When you follow some news outlets or reports from the US or other countries, also actually in Germany, you might come to the conclusion that Trump's future is more or less at stake when he doesn't open the files. But when you go out there in the United States and go to places not only in Ohio, from where I filed this report, but also other Republican strongholds, you really get a different take. And I tell you, Claire, the Democrats should be careful in making the mistake to think that these Epstein file discussion will help them to win the midterms. However, so most of his supporters, they just don't care. And as we heard in the piece, they really have other topics they really think are more important for their individual lives.
are key figures within Trump's MAGA movement that really do care. What role have they been playing in keeping this story alive?
Of course, there are really some people for whom this promise to open up the files was a key element in their indictment of the American elite. They didn't vote for Donald Trump mainly because they trusted his skills, but they believed that he is not part of the deep state conspiracy theory. They believe that the government is full of pedophiles and is covering up systematic sexual abuse of children. And so opening up these files really becomes very crucial for them. And if Donald Trump is not doing that, that gives many the feeling of those specific circle that he's just not an outsider, what they thought he is, and that he's not willing to kind of drain the swamp, but he's just another member of this elite they really hate.
So what has Trump actually said about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, with this being such an explosive issue at the moment? Has he made official comment about what the nature of the relationship was like?
So, Claire, there is so much public proof, so many pictures and video clips of the president and Epstein over the years. So he had to acknowledge that he knew Epstein socially. But he tried to distance himself from him since the allegations came to light. And he repeatedly said that he never was a fan and that he cut ties with Epstein long before all the legal troubles started. However, and that's interesting, he acknowledged this week's Tuesday, yesterday, that Epstein poached young women from Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, which of course raises now the question about what he really knew. And he also acknowledged in the past that one of those employees which were approached by Epstein may have been Virginia Giuffre, and she's one of Epstein's most prominent accusers who died by suicide earlier this year. So it's very difficult to understand how Donald Trump really tries to shape his relationship to Epstein, but there is definitely not any doubt that at some part, for many years, they were close and they kind of were in the same circles.
And the story does seem to have some sticking power, right? I mean, usually there's so much happening in the Trump administration that media attention is fairly short-lived. How successful has Trump been in handling this hot-button issue?
Yeah, that's interesting. He's really good in kind of distracting the public from things he doesn't want them to think about. He did that with this case as well over the last weeks, but he is not really successful. It sticks with him, and the media is still on him. Many Democrats, of course, try to use that for themselves. So as for now, he's not able to shut that down.
Well, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed with the ins and outs of this story. That is our Washington Bureau Chief, Ines Pohl.